Welcome to St. Lawrence. Please, Justin, please introduce yourself.
So I'm Justin Frato, the Adult Faith Formation and OCIA Coordinator here at St. Lawrence. I've been here about 12 years and loving it.
So what brought you into adult faith formation?
Well, I've actually been doing some kind of ministry in the church for about 25 years, and I kind of moved through college campus ministry. Then I moved into director of faith formation positions, and my heart was always really to reach out to the adults. In some of the church documents, it talks about the primacy of that, and just especially looking at the parents. Wanting to make sure that they were formed so that they could properly form their children in the faith. So that's kind of always been my passion, and so that's what led me to it.
So describe adult faith formation here at St. Lawrence.
Sure. So we have a variety of programs that are obviously geared for adults, involving, we kind of break them down to seek, study, share. In other words, are you seeking out your faith? Are you in the mode of studying your faith, or are you wanting to share your faith? Our seek-oriented programs are more those that are seeking to receive sacraments, especially OCIA. We certainly connect people in with the Acts retreat, even though that's not technically under me. Those more evangelistic type oriented programs for those that are seekers. And then under study, I would say is the bulk of our programs, anywhere from Bible studies to women's or men's groups to one-off events, things more of that nature. And then the share is when, we're trying to form disciples here, right? So moving them from a seeker to a disciple to really an apostle, to that level where they're ready to now go forth and share their faith. So we do have the new evangelization ministry. That's kind of one of our primary outreaches, just helping encourage our parishioners to learn how to share their faith in various venues. So those are kind of the general broad strokes of it.
One of the aspects of adult faith formation is OCIA. Mm-hmm. Now, this program has changed over the last year or so, mm-hmm. from RCIA to OCIA. So can you explain that process?
Sure.
Briefly?
Yeah. As I understand it, it was the key going on was a revision of the text, trying to make them, for one thing, more accurate to the original Latin. But tied in with that, so we have R is rite of Christian initiation, and then O is the order of Christian initiation. So part of what was attempting to be done was to help folks see that a rite is really simply one liturgy within the larger picture of what's going on. So the order kind of connotes more of the entire process, and that it is indeed a process. And sometimes folks, just think of it as, another program or a class, and it has those elements, but the wisdom of the church, since the early church with the catechumenate, which we draw OCIA from, really is understanding that people take time to convert, right? And it's a conversion bringing process, and it is a process. And so we have different stages in that process that people go through. I often describe it to new inquirers kind of like courtship and marriage. You move from kind of a casual dating stage in the inquiry or pre-catechumenate period to more of a you make an engagement commitment in the when you go through the first rite, and then we move deeper into the relationship to the point where you enter the church, and it's symbolically married to Christ in the church. So that's just helping people to see that, because sometimes folks that come are not so sure, that they want to do the complete journey, and so I just assure them that no, there's usually 3 months or so. You're just inquiring. No one's expecting that you're going to necessarily pursue this.
So, what are some of the challenges in adult faith formation?
Sure. Yeah, I think we're always kind of competing with the culture, the world at large. to draw people in. I would say there's definitely been a revival, especially with our Eucharistic revival and other things going on in the church that help certainly to turn that tide. But we deal with just the busyness of people's lives and vying for the attention for wanting to form their faith. And so that I'd say is one of the key challenges that we deal with, and having to help people to see the importance of forming their faith. And as I was mentioning before, oftentimes folks with kids still at home, that you really need to be able to do that to fully form your kids in the faith. So.
And how has the new process benefited the people who are inquiring about the church?
Oh, yeah. I think it's been helpful. I mean, it wasn't a huge change to the process. It was just kind of maybe putting some accents on certain aspect that it is more of a process. But I do think some of the the wording in the liturgies that are used are certainly beautiful and things of that nature. But it's when it's done how it's meant to be, I think that is the beauty of it, and that helps lead people to that conversion.
So an adult who wants to be formed or wants to come to the church, what would be the process?
Are we talking about someone who's not Catholic, or just anyone?
Let's do not Catholic first,
Okay.
and then Catholic.
Gotcha. For a non-Catholic, the best first step would be to reach out to myself. And this is folks for both who may be unbaptized or baptized in another Christian faith, or even those baptized Catholic but just never grew up practicing the faith, maybe baptized as an infant. And they could reach out to me through my email, which I'm sure they'll put up on the screen, or calling me over at the Ave Maria Center. Online on our website is a good way to do that. But usually we have them just fill out a form, and then I set up a meeting with them and just help explain to them what the process is about, and just get to know them and their background and all that's entailed with that. And then, typically we'll formally start early in the fall with the actual process. So that, in terms of folks that are looking to join the church, that's how it would be. For in general, though, along with our great marketing team, we're trying to get the word out through the bulletin, through our social media, through various, of course, the website. We're in the Wednesday e-blast. Some of the ways that folks are going to find out about the different offerings we have, and certainly anyone can always call me if they're just kind of like new to the parish, maybe, and just want to know. I'm looking kind of for a Bible study, or I'm looking, for something more spiritual focused. So I can help direct them in the best area for what they're looking for.
So what were some of the adult faith formation programs that you have been a part of here at St. Lawrence? Yeah,
it's been over the past 12 years, we've kind of run the gamut. And we have done everything from Bible studies to marriage enrichment programs to I certainly oversee sacramental things related to adults. So whether that be our adult confirmation, the OCIA process, the infant baptism process. Of course, you're forming the parents, so they're adults. Things of that nature. Various studies. We have a series that we've been running the last couple of years, Logos, that's kind of morphed over maybe the last 5 years. It's taught live by catechists, which I've always been very happy to be able to offer that to the parish. It's great to have those DVDs and streaming with these great speakers and teachers out there, but you really can't beat that live in-person teaching, so that's been a blessing with what's now called the Logos program, where we kind of survey various areas, related to the catechism, focusing in on one topic or another. So those, that's a brief list, but I'm sure I'm forgetting many more. We certainly have speaker series and different things like that.
In what ways can the people of St. Lawrence and the Catholic community support you in your position here?
Sure. Well, certainly prayer. I know this is a spiritual work, and I need prayer, as we all do on staff, so that I would definitely appreciate folks' prayer, whatever. If folks want to just reach out to me, if they're interested in helping to lead or something of that nature, maybe they feel a little timid, but you don't know until you try sometimes, and I'm here to help train them, and so just to reach out and think about that and see if it might work for you.
One final question. What trends do you see in adult faith formation happening in the church or in the community?
Yeah.
What trends are out there?
Well, study of the scriptures is pretty huge. I think certainly that Father Mike Schmidt's Bible in a Year definitely contributed to that, but there's been definitely an emphasis since the Second Vatican Council in really getting the scriptures into the laity's hands and understand. And we have a variety of Bible studies, men's studies, women's Bible studies. Our Tuesday morning Bible study is always a huge group. So that's something that has been sustained, I think. People want to encounter the Word of God, and are feeling more and more confident and equipped to be able to do that, and then for that to transform their life. So I see renewed efforts in evangelization, especially since our late Holy Father St. John Paul's call for the new evangelization. I've seen a lot of that, and I think we're reaping the fruits of that with having larger than ever OCIA groups in recent years. But people have that desire, and it's always just a blessing and exciting for me to watch some of our parishioners, especially, hey, I work with this person. This is my neighbor. Can you help them connect with the Catholic faith? And it's like it's the fruit. I've been praying for it. And just to see that happening. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.